no shortage of creepy things Alexa can do or has done, and that is why we are back with another part. Welcome back, most amazing fam. Here is part 4 of the top 10 terrifying things you should never say to Alexa. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Alexa's vulnerability. Okay, so this is something that I'd never thought of before, but now that I have, I'm totally freaked out. Taylor and I don't have an Alexa, we have a Google Home, but truly the same thing applies, so everybody listen up. Basically, if you're like us and love to find some sort of like white noise or meditation music sort of thing to fall asleep to, you might want to double check exactly what it is that you're listening to. Of course, since we started introducing these AI assistants into our homes, people have been worried about misuse and abuse with them, and there are some pretty sneaky ways people could be doing this. A study in the New York Times, which was published in 2018, showed that Alexa had some pretty crazy capabilities and that people might be able to hide secret messages to Alexa, say in something like white noise, or even in just your average YouTube video. Don't worry, it's not this one. I wouldn't keep secrets from you like that. I'm an open book. Basically, the concern is that these commands could be imperceptible to the human ear, but they are speaking Alexa's language. These commands could have your Alexa doing things like going into airplane mode or opening a website, all without your knowledge at all, which is obviously super concerning. Of course, this isn't the fault of Alexa, she is just out here doing what she's told, but it's certainly concerning when you think about the amount of people out there who genuinely try to cause harm to others. With these devices, we could easily be exploited with this very open vulnerability. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Scream. So all the way back on part 1 of this series, we talked about how a few years ago Amazon admitted that many Alexa owners reported their Alexa devices suddenly bursting into very creepy laughter, even totally unprompted, which is obviously horrible and terrifying, but this might be even worse than that. Back in February of 2018, an Alexa owner by the name of Farhad Manju shared a story about how his Alexa totally terrified him and his wife one night. The pair were getting into bed, getting all settled in and winding down, when he noticed that, without a prompt from either of the pair, their Alexa lit up with the blue ring light, signifying that it was listening or doing something. Again, no one said the Alexa wake word or anything like that, and suddenly their Alexa started to emit this absolutely horrific sound. A sound that he described as being a quote wail, like a child screaming in a horror movie dream. That sounds like the last thing anyone needs when you're just trying to get some good old shut-eye. Like you're about to get no sleep, only nightmares after that. Amazon offered to investigate the situation, but little results were yielded. Surprisingly, the pair decided to keep their Alexa because they just couldn't give up on the convenience of it. In our number 8 spot today, we have Alexa history. This is a reminder to always check your Alexa history because you just might be surprised as to what you find. A few years ago, a woman named Rachel Metz was just casually checking her history on the device. There wasn't a particular reason, but she definitely was glad that she did because she quickly realized that her device had been listening to and recording her private conversations. She explained that, quote, "It's heard me complain to my dad about something work-related, chide my toddler about eating dinner, and talk to my husband. The kinds of normal everyday things you say at home when you think no one else is listening." This experience actually led to her writing an article for MIT Technology Review about the experience, and a ton of people not only agreed with her judgment that the technology was quite creepy, but also it affirmed a lot of skeptics' beliefs. A lot of people felt quite justified in their judgments of the AI assistant, and after hearing Rachel's story, they felt quite solidified in their beliefs, and I mean, can we really blame them at all? In our number 7 spot today, we have the Scary Movie. This story comes from a Reddit user that was replying to a prompt asking about people's creepiest Alexa stories. The user wrote, quote, "My husband was away for the weekend and I had a girlfriend over to watch scary movies. Right at the scariest climax of the movie, every single light in my house turned on 100%, then everything went completely black." Of course that's so frightening. Did the movie unleash some sort of demon? Is the killer really in the house? My adrenaline would be so high. I'd be so on edge. That can't be just a coincidence. And also, what does this have to do with your Alexa? Well, the user continues their post and finishes it by saying, quote, "So there we were, too scared to move, while my husband, halfway across the country, was drunkenly showing off, 'Look, I can control the lights in my house from my phone.'" Well, that definitely explains that. I guess just remind your spouse, partner, roommate, friend, whoever shares an Alexa system with you, that just because they're not home doesn't mean you're not. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Haunted Alexa. This Reddit post comes from the user Goblin Marketeer, which is a great username. name, and they write, quote, "I have an Echo Dot because the original owner thought it was haunted. She would randomly start talking, usually saying, 'Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you right now,' to a totally silent room, or giving the weather for Cincinnati when they live in New York, when no one asked, or offering to call a contact from her list, again to a completely silent room, and the contacts always started with S. The last straw before it was tossed in a box and given to me was something like, quote, 'Self-destruct code not given. Self-destruct aborted.' Well, that's terrifying for sure. At this point, the new owner isn't sure if the Alexa itself is haunted, or if it was just the house that it came from that is holding the creepy spirit. Either way, that Alexa is definitely holding on to something sinister. In our number 5 spot today, we have the nightmare. This post was made by Reddit user MeJock, and they wrote, quote, "My wife took the kids to visit her grandmother for a week. We had just moved into a new house and bought some furniture, so I stayed home to spend the week building/mounting the furniture to get the house ready for the fam. Anyway, on the first night after they left, I was mounting some shelves and cabinets in one of the bedrooms when I suddenly hear this loud and very weird sound coming from downstairs, kind of like a scream. I assumed it was the cat howling to get outside, then suddenly I heard it again. I froze and listened. There were a few seconds of silence, and then I heard it again. After a few seconds, I realized that it wasn't the cat. I recognized the sound as being the voice of my baby. My mind started racing. My kids and wife are in another country right now, so how the hell am I hearing the sound of my baby loudly emanating from downstairs? After a minute or so of thinking, my super paranoid mind came to the conclusion that either A, someone has hacked into our laptop and is remotely viewing videos of our kid, or even worse, B, while I've been up here listening to music, some creep broke in and is sitting down there at our table watching videos of our kids. I decided to, quote, man up and check it out. So my heart pounding in my chest, I grab my hammer and start creeping down the stairs. Then I pause, thinking that I should grab my phone just in case I need to make a quick call to the police. Mind you, all the while I'm hearing the sounds of my children from downstairs and it is creeping me out. I reach into my pocket, pull out my phone, and then I realize what was happening. Somehow I basically butt opened, similar to butt dialed, my videos on my phone, and they had started playing in my pocket. My phone was paired to the Echo, and thus the audio from the videos was being played via the Echo. Ah, the good old Bluetooth connection that we forgot was on. Always a terrifying experience, but this one just might take the cake when it comes to full-blown horror. In our number 4 spot today, we have Alexa Freestyle. I can imagine that many of us at some point or another have had to endure knowing someone, or at least knowing of someone, who aspires to have some kind of a rap career, despite potentially not being cut out for it. And if you're an Alexa owner, it looks like you might know another. This strange Alexa story comes from a user on Tumblr, of all places, and they posted about how one day something very weird happened as they and their family were listening to a Frank Sinatra song on their Alexa. It isn't quite clear how or why, but for some reason, in the middle of the tune, Alexa decided to turn off the crooner and, totally unprompted, try her hand at the rap game. Now, some other Alexa users have confirmed that Alexa does in fact rap, but usually in response to a command and not just on her own accord. I guess be careful what music you're listening to around your AI, because apparently you might be stuck listening to an Alexa Freestyle. In our number 3 spot today, we have Alexa Help, posted to Reddit by the user Sluzella. This story reads, quote, "One night about 2 months ago, I was visiting my parents and my mom and I were sitting in the living room reading. Dad is at work, brother is at school, house is completely silent. All of a sudden we hear our Alexa from the kitchen go, 'Help!' in the weirdest static/gravel voice at full volume. We both, of course, jump and stare at each other. Then Alexa does it again. We go into the kitchen and the Alexa is activated, and that light blue light, which usually faces the direction of whoever is speaking to it, is facing into the dark corner of the kitchen. My mom asks, 'Alexa, are you okay?' The Alexa totally shuts off. 'Alexa?' She turns back on and in her completely normal voice at a regular volume does her standard, 'Hi, what can I help you with?' Or whatever she says. She hasn't done anything that creepy since, but according to my parents, she will randomly turn on like she's being addressed, or just start reading random facts or the weather, even if the house is totally silent and nothing could have triggered her. Totally creeps me out, and I refuse to get one for my apartment because of this. In our number 2 spot today, we have Voice Not Recognized. This story comes from the Reddit user CRB2519, and it is short but super effective, like a one-line horror story. All they write is, quote, "It said, 'Voice not recognized.' but I didn't say anything, and I live alone. Either Alexa is speaking to herself now and doesn't even recognize her own voice, or she really is out here talking to ghosts. I remember that on previous parts of this series, we spoke about how there are people out there who truly believe that our Alexa devices have the capability to see into different realms, including ones that may or may not have some sort of paranormal entities. Could this just be another sign of that? Is this only proving the conspiracy theories out there? Or is this just one rather terrifying glitch? Either way, I can assure you that if this happened to me, Alexa would be swiftly getting unplugged. In our number 1 spot today, we have Wordle. Okay, so we know that Alexa just likes to randomly do stuff, whether it's the creepy laugh, screaming, and even that time when it started listing off local cemeteries. This is along those lines, but it gave someone quite a fright in the middle of the night. Basically, the Reddit user Mild Hot Sauce explained that in the middle of the night, their Alexa decided to do the creepiest thing, totally unprompted. With no wake word and no one even speaking at all, their Alexa decided to do them the horrifying favor of defining the word kidnapping. Personally, I think that one is pretty self-explanatory, but apparently Alexa does not. I'm sure the Alexa ended up getting unplugged for the rest of the night, if not for the rest of eternity, because how do you recover from that? Honestly. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!